Think about what it means to treat your body as a storage unit. What do people do with storage units? They pile things up, items they don't need but can't bear to throw away. They tell themselves, maybe I'll need this later. But later rarely comes. The items sit there, collecting dust, becoming more of a burden than a resource. Your body is not meant to be a storage unit for excess energy, for indulgence, for avoidance. It is meant to be a tool, a vehicle, a means of navigating the world with clarity and strength. But instead of treating it that way, people overconsume. They act as if they're preparing for a famine, as if some great hardship is coming that will require them to have an extra 20 or 50 pounds stored up just in case. The problem is not just physical, it's psychological. It is the mindset of deferral, of postponing responsibility. Overeating is often not about hunger, but about fear. People eat when they are anxious, when they are uncertain, when they are bored. They eat to fill a void, to distract themselves from the deeper questions they don't want to face. It's easier to reach for another snack than to ask yourself, what am I avoiding? Why do I feel unsettled? What do I actually need to do to fix my life? Because real change is difficult. Real responsibility is daunting. So people choose the easier route. They consume, and then they justify it. I deserve this. It's been a hard day. I'll eat better tomorrow. But tomorrow turns into next week, then next month, then years of regret. Your body is a reflection of your choices. It doesn't lie. It tells the truth about how disciplined you are, how much self-respect you have, how much care you put into maintaining yourself. If you are constantly eating beyond what your body needs, you are engaging in self-sabotage. You are treating yourself as if you are incapable of control. And the worst part is that this isn't just about food, it's about the way you approach everything in life. If you allow yourself to eat without discipline, you likely allow yourself to procrastinate on important tasks, to stay in toxic relationships, to avoid taking risks that would actually improve your life. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. There is a false sense of comfort in overconsumption. People think that eating more will make them feel safe, that it will create a buffer between them and the chaos of the world. But it does the opposite. It makes them weaker, slower, more dependent, and in that weakness, they become more vulnerable to the very chaos they were trying to protect themselves from. If you want to be resilient, if you want to be capable, you need to strip away the excess. You need to treat your body with precision, with care. You need to feed it just enough to fuel your purpose, nothing more. But that requires a shift in thinking. It requires you to stop seeing food as an emotional crutch and start seeing it as a tool. It requires you to be honest with yourself about why you eat the way you do. Are you truly hungry, or are you just bored? Are you feeding your body, or are you feeding your insecurities? If you overeat, what are you trying to avoid? These are uncomfortable questions, but they are necessary ones. Because without them, you will continue to use food as a distraction rather than as a means of strength. This is not to say that food should not be enjoyed. Life is meant to be lived fully, and sharing a meal can be one of the great joys of existence. But there is a difference between enjoying food in a mindful, intentional way and using food as a way to numb yourself from reality. The first makes you stronger, the second makes you weaker. The first allows you to savor the moment, the second chains you to a cycle of regret. If you want to break free from that cycle, you need to start seeing yourself as someone worthy of discipline. Because discipline is not punishment. It is the highest form of self-respect. You must decide whether you want to be in control of your body or whether you want your body to control you. Every extra unnecessary meal is a vote in favor of weakness. Every moment of discipline is a vote in favor of strength. It is not about perfection, but about direction. Are you moving toward being more capable, more energetic, more focused? Or are you slowly dragging yourself toward a state of sluggishness, regret, and dependency? The choice is yours. But know this. Your body is not a storage unit. It is not a dumping ground for all the food you didn't need to eat. It is a tool, a weapon, a means of carrying you through life with purpose and energy. And if you treat it that way, you will not only change your body, but you will change your mind. And that, more than anything, will change your life. Consumption has become the great modern distraction. It is the thing people turn to when they don't want to face themselves. Whether it's food, entertainment, shopping, or social media, consumption fills the space where action and responsibility should be. It offers a temporary escape from the discomfort of growth, the pain of uncertainty, and the weight of personal accountability. But the problem is that consumption does not solve these problems. It merely delays them. And the more a person consumes without purpose, the further they drift from the person they are capable of becoming. People eat when they're not hungry, watch videos when they're not interested, scroll endlessly when they have nothing to look for. They consume because it's easier than thinking, easier than making decisions, easier than sitting in silence and asking themselves, what should I actually be doing right now? It is a way to avoid effort, to sidestep the difficult but necessary work of structuring their lives. Instead of engaging with reality, they distract themselves from it. But distractions, no matter how pleasurable, come at a cost. Time is finite. Every moment spent in passive consumption is a moment lost. A moment that could have been used to build, to learn, to improve, to connect. This is not to say that all consumption is bad. Some consumption is necessary, even beneficial. The right books, the right meals, the right conversations. These things can fuel progress, sharpen the mind, and nourish the body. But there is a fine line between consuming with intention and consuming to escape. Most people cross that line without realizing it. They tell themselves they are unwinding, taking a break, rewarding themselves. But when the break never ends, when the reward becomes routine, when consumption replaces creation, they are no longer in control. They are being controlled. The real issue is not the act of consumption itself, but its function. If a person eats because they are fueling their body, that is rational. But if they eat because they are anxious, because they are lonely, because they are avoiding work, then food is no longer nourishment, it is avoidance. The same applies to entertainment. If someone watches a film because they appreciate the art, the story, the ideas, that is intentional. But if they binge watch show after show, not because they are engaged, but because they are avoiding real life, then entertainment has become sedation. Consumption, when used improperly, is a drug. It dulls the senses, numbs the mind, and creates a false sense of fulfillment while leaving the deeper problems untouched. At the heart of this issue is discomfort. People consume excessively because they are uncomfortable with stillness, with effort, with the demands of real responsibility. They would rather distract themselves than face the reality of their own shortcomings. It is uncomfortable to acknowledge that you are out of shape, that you are behind on your goals, that your relationships are suffering, that your life is not what you want it to be. But that discomfort is important. It is the thing that signals that change is necessary. And if it is numbed through constant consumption, then the motivation to improve is lost. The person remains stuck, alive, but not truly living. This is why discipline is essential. Discipline is the ability to resist unnecessary consumption, to recognize when something is a distraction, and to choose action instead. It is the ability to say, I don't need this right now. I need to work. I need to move. I need to face reality. A disciplined person does not allow themselves to be controlled by impulse. They do not eat simply because food is there. They do not watch simply because a screen is in front of them. They do not scroll because they are bored. They make conscious choices. They use consumption as a tool, not as an escape. Breaking free from the cycle of distraction requires awareness. It requires a person to pause before they consume and ask, why am I doing this? If the answer is hunger, true rest, or genuine enjoyment, then the consumption is justified. But if the answer is avoidance, procrastination, or mindlessness, then it must be rejected. This is a difficult habit to develop, but it is one that separates those who live intentionally from those who drift through life controlled by their impulses. The modern world makes this harder than ever. Consumption is not just available, it is aggressively pushed. Food is engineered to be addictive. Social media is designed to hold attention for as long as possible. Streaming services autoplay the next episode before you even have time to decide if you want to keep watching. Every industry profits from keeping people passive, distracted, and dependent. Breaking free from this requires conscious effort. It requires the ability to set boundaries, to turn off the screen, to put down the snack, to choose discomfort over distraction. It requires the willingness to be fully present in reality, no matter how difficult that may be. The alternative is stagnation. The person who consumes mindlessly does not grow. They remain in the same patterns, facing the same problems, wondering why nothing changes. But nothing changes because they are not changing. Consumption, when it becomes a distraction, is a form of self-sabotage. It is a way of ensuring that life remains exactly as it is, comfortable, predictable, but ultimately unfulfilling. But for those who recognize this pattern and break free from it, the rewards are immense. When consumption is no longer a distraction, it can become a force for good. Food becomes fuel, information becomes knowledge, entertainment becomes inspiration. The person no longer consumes to escape, they consume to build, to grow, to create. And in doing so, they take back control. They become active participants in their own lives rather than passive spectators. And that ultimately is the difference between living with purpose and simply existing. Overeating is not just a physical act, it is a psychological betrayal of your own well-being. Every time you eat beyond what your body needs, you are making a choice, whether consciously or not. You are choosing short-term pleasure over long-term health. You are choosing indulgence over discipline. You are choosing to burden your future self with the consequences of your present decisions. And those consequences are not just about weight gain or physical discomfort. They extend to your energy levels, your mental clarity, your self-respect, and your overall sense of control over your life. The act of overeating is rarely about hunger. True hunger is a biological signal, a natural mechanism designed to keep you alive and functioning at your best. But most instances of overeating have nothing to do with survival. They stem from habit, from emotional distress, from boredom, from the desire to escape. People eat because they feel anxious, because they feel sad, because they want to avoid a task they don't want to do. Food becomes a source of comfort, a distraction, a way to numb themselves from reality. But in doing this, they turn their own bodies into dumping grounds for unresolved emotions. They burden their system with more than it needs, making themselves sluggish, tired, and mentally foggy. And this, in turn, feeds the very cycle they were trying to escape. Because now they feel worse, and feeling worse makes them want to seek comfort again. Self-betrayal happens when you knowingly act against your best interests. When you overeat, you are violating the agreement you should have with yourself to treat your body with respect. You are ignoring the signals your body gives you, pushing past the point of satisfaction into excess. You tell yourself that you'll be better tomorrow, that it's just this one time, that it doesn't really matter. But it does matter. Every action you take is a vote for the person you are becoming. Each time you overeat, you are reinforcing a pattern of self-neglect, of impulsiveness, of avoiding responsibility for your own health. And patterns, once established, are difficult to break. Overeating is also an act of self-deception. It is lying to yourself in the moment, pretending that the extra portion, the unnecessary snack, or the binge session won't have consequences. But deep down, you know the truth. You know how it feels afterward. The heaviness, the regret, the disappointment in yourself. You know that this is not how you want to live. And yet, you rationalize it, making excuses to avoid the discomfort of self-discipline. But discipline is not punishment. It is the highest form of self-respect. When you eat in alignment with your body's needs rather than your emotional impulses, you are showing yourself that you are worthy of care, that you are capable of control, that you are in charge of your own destiny. Many people see food as an escape, but in reality, it is a test. Every meal is an opportunity to either strengthen yourself or weaken yourself. When you eat with intention, you fuel your body in a way that enhances your energy, your focus, your resilience. When you eat mindlessly, you weigh yourself down, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. The temporary pleasure of overeating is always outweighed by the long-term cost. And yet, so many continue to engage in this behavior because they refuse to face the deeper issue, a lack of self-mastery. Breaking free from the cycle of overeating requires honesty. It requires looking at yourself in the mirror and admitting that your eating habits are not serving you. It requires recognizing the moments when you reach for food not out of hunger, but out of habit, stress, or avoidance. And it requires the willingness to sit with discomfort, to find healthier ways to deal with emotions, to take control rather than giving in. It is not about deprivation. It is not about punishment. It is about making choices that align with who you want to be. It is about valuing yourself enough to say, I deserve to feel good. I deserve to be strong. I deserve to have control over my body and my mind. When you stop overeating, you are not losing anything. You are gaining everything. You are gaining energy, confidence, mental clarity, and self-respect. You are proving to yourself that you are capable of making the right choices even when they are difficult. And that kind of proof builds momentum. It transforms the way you see yourself, turning you into a person who is not ruled by impulse, but by intention. In the end, every act of overeating is a betrayal, but every act of discipline is an investment. You can continue to betray yourself to live in the cycle of indulgence and regret, or you can choose something better. You can choose to break the pattern, to respect your body, to honor your future self. And when you do, you will realize that true satisfaction does not come from excess. It comes from control, from alignment, from living in a way that strengthens rather than weakens you. That is the real reward. And it is worth more than any fleeting pleasure ever could be. Food is meant to be fuel, yet for many people, it has become something entirely different. Instead of being a source of nourishment, it has turned into a source of comfort, distraction, and even self-medication. People reach for food not because their bodies need it, but because their emotions demand it. They eat when they are sad, stressed, bored, or lonely. They turn to food as a way to fill a void, to momentarily escape from discomfort, to find a fleeting sense of pleasure in an otherwise difficult day. But this habit, though common, is destructive. It weakens both the body and the mind, creating a cycle of dependence that leads to poor health, low energy, and a lack of control over one's own life. When food is treated as fuel, it serves its proper function. It provides the body with the nutrients it needs to function at its best. It gives a person the energy to move, to think, to act with clarity and strength. Every bite has a purpose, contributing to physical resilience, mental sharpness, and overall well-being. But when food is treated as comfort, it does the opposite. It dulls the senses, slows the body, clouds the mind. Instead of fueling action, it promotes stagnation. Instead of enhancing life, it becomes a way to avoid it. This shift from using food as fuel to using it as comfort does not happen overnight. It is often learned in childhood, reinforced by culture, media, and environment. From an early age, people are taught to associate food with emotion. A child is given a treat when they are sad, a snack when they are bored, a reward when they behave well. Over time, this conditioning turns into an automatic response. Stress triggers cravings. Boredom leads to snacking. Loneliness calls for indulgence. Food becomes a solution to every emotional problem, even though it was never meant to be one. The issue with using food for comfort is that it does not actually solve anything. It provides temporary relief, but once the meal is over, the emotions remain. The stress, the sadness, the boredom, they all return, often accompanied by regret for having eaten more than was necessary. The comfort was an illusion, a quick fix that did not address the root problem. And worse, it creates a habit of avoidance. Instead of learning to deal with emotions in a healthy way, a person learns to suppress them with consumption. This leads to a dangerous cycle. Discomfort leads to eating. Eating leads to guilt. Guilt leads to more discomfort, and the cycle repeats. Breaking free from this cycle requires a shift in perspective. It requires seeing food not as an escape, but as a tool. It requires recognizing that the body does not need excess calories, it needs proper nutrition. It needs balance, precision, care. It requires making the distinction between true hunger and emotional cravings. True hunger is a signal from the body, a sign that it needs fuel to function. Emotional cravings, on the other hand, are signals from the mind, often unrelated to any physical need. Learning to tell the difference between the two is a critical skill, one that allows a person to regain control over their eating habits. This shift also requires finding better ways to deal with emotions. Food should not be a reward, nor should it be a coping mechanism. Stress should be handled with movement, with problem solving, with deep breathing, not with overeating. Sadness should be met with self-reflection, with connection, with action, not with indulgence. Boredom should be countered with creativity, with purpose, with engagement in meaningful activities, not with mindless snacking. The more a person learns to deal with emotions directly, the less they will feel the need to turn to food as an escape. There is nothing wrong with enjoying food. It is one of life's great pleasures, and meals should be savored. But there is a difference between mindful enjoyment and emotional dependence. When food is consumed with awareness in proper amounts, with a focus on nourishment rather than excess, it strengthens the body and mind. But when it is consumed out of impulse, used as a means of avoidance, it becomes harmful. It leads to weight gain, sluggishness, poor digestion, and low energy. It erodes self-tradition and creates a disconnect between what the body needs and what the mind craves. Choosing to see food as fuel rather than comfort is an act of self-respect. It is a commitment to treating the body with care rather than abusing it with overindulgence. It is a decision to prioritize long-term health over short-term pleasure. And it is a path to true freedom. Freedom from cravings, from emotional eating, from the cycle of guilt and regret. It allows a person to live with clarity, strength, and purpose, using food not as a crutch, but as a source of genuine vitality. When food is no longer an emotional escape, it becomes what it was always meant to be, a source of energy, a way to fuel the body, a means of sustaining life. And with that shift, everything changes. The body becomes lighter, the mind sharper, the spirit stronger. Life is no longer controlled by cravings and impulses, but driven by intention and self-mastery. And in that, there is real power. The connection between the mind and body is undeniable. Every thought, emotion, and mental state has a direct impact on the body, just as every physical experience influences the mind. They are not separate entities, but two parts of a single system, constantly communicating with each other. To ignore this connection is to misunderstand the true nature of human health and well-being. When the mind is in distress, the body suffers. When the body is neglected, the mind weakens. To live at our best, we must recognize this relationship and take care of both. Stress is one of the clearest examples of this connection. When a person experiences stress, their body reacts as if they are in danger. The heart rate increases, muscles tense, digestion slows, and the body releases stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. This response is useful in real emergencies, but when stress becomes chronic, it wears the body down. High levels of stress contribute to high blood pressure, digestive issues, tension, headaches, and a weakened immune system. The mind creates the stress, but the body pays the price. Similarly, emotions manifest physically. Anxiety can cause stomach pain, nausea, or dizziness. Depression can lead to fatigue, body aches, and a weakened immune system. People who experience deep sadness often describe feeling physically heavy, as if their body is carrying a burden. On the other hand, happiness and excitement create energy. A joyful person stands taller, moves faster, and feels more alive. The mind influences how the body feels, and those feelings, in turn, reinforce the mental state. The body also affects the mind. Poor physical health leads to poor mental health. A body that is not well fed, well rested, or well exercised cannot support a sharp, resilient mind. Nutrition plays a critical role in brain function. A diet filled with processed foods, sugar, and unhealthy fats leads to brain fog, mood swings, and lack of focus. On the other hand, a diet rich in whole foods, protein, healthy fats, and vitamins fuels mental clarity, stability, and energy. Food is not just fuel for the body, it is fuel for the brain. Exercise is another key factor. Moving the body does not just strengthen muscles, it strengthens the mind. Physical activity releases endorphins, which improve mood and reduce stress. Regular exercise has been shown to lower anxiety, combat depression, and increase self-confidence. It also enhances cognitive function, improving memory and focus. A sedentary lifestyle, on the other hand, contributes to mental sluggishness, low energy, and increased risk of depression. The body was designed to move, and when it doesn't, the mind suffers. Sleep is another critical link. The quality of a person's sleep directly affects their mental state. Lack of sleep impairs judgment, reduces focus, and increases irritability. Over time, sleep deprivation can lead to serious mental health issues, including anxiety and depression. The body needs sleep to repair itself, and the mind needs sleep to process emotions and consolidate memories. When sleep is neglected, both suffer. The way a person holds their body also influences their mind. Posture, facial expressions, and movement all send signals to the brain. A person who slouches, keeps their head down, and avoids eye contact will start to feel small and weak. Someone who stands tall, breathes deeply, and moves with confidence will feel more powerful and capable. The body reinforces the mind's beliefs, whether they are positive or negative. This is why power poses, deep breathing, and even smiling can have an immediate impact on mood and confidence. The mind-body connection is also seen in healing. Studies have shown that people with a positive mindset recover faster from illness and injury. Optimism and a strong will to live have been linked to better health outcomes. The placebo effect is another proof of this connection. When people believe they are receiving treatment, their bodies often improve, even if the treatment is inactive. The mind can influence physical health in ways that are still not fully understood, but the evidence is clear. Belief and attitude matter. Understanding this connection means taking a balanced approach to health. One cannot focus solely on the mind and neglect the body, nor can one focus only on the body while ignoring the mind. True well-being requires care for both. This means managing stress, maintaining a healthy diet, exercising regularly, getting enough sleep, and practicing habits that support mental and emotional health. Meditation, mindfulness, deep breathing, and gratitude all help create a strong, healthy mind, which in turn supports a strong, healthy body. When the mind and body are aligned, everything functions better. Energy increases, focus sharpens, and resilience strengthens. Challenges become easier to handle. Emotions become more stable, and life feels more fulfilling. Ignoring this connection leads to imbalance, but nurturing it creates strength, clarity, and a sense of true well-being. The mind and body are not separate, they are one. To take care of one is to take care of the other, and only by respecting this relationship can we reach our full potential. You said, mastering yourself is the foundation of a meaningful and fulfilling life. It is the ability to take control of your thoughts, emotions, actions, and habits rather than allowing them to control you. Self-mastery is not about perfection, but about discipline, awareness, and intentionality. It is the process of becoming the kind of person who can face challenges with strength, navigate emotions with wisdom, and pursue goals with relentless focus. Those who lack self-mastery become slaves to their impulses, desires, and external circumstances, while those who cultivate it shape their own destiny. The first step in mastering yourself is developing self-awareness. You cannot control what you do not understand. Many people go through life reacting rather than acting, making decisions based on impulse rather than intention. They eat without thinking, speak without considering, and act without understanding their true motives. Self-awareness requires you to step back and observe yourself, your thoughts, your emotions, your triggers. Why do you react the way you do? Why do you avoid certain responsibilities? Why do you seek comfort in unhealthy habits? When you become aware of your own patterns, you gain the power to change them. Discipline is the next pillar of self-mastery. It is the ability to do what needs to be done, even when you do not feel like doing it. Most people rely on motivation, but motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. Discipline, on the other hand, is consistent. It is the force that allows you to wake up early when you want to sleep in, to exercise when you feel tired, to work hard when you would rather relax. Mastering yourself means mastering your impulses. It means being able to delay gratification and resist distractions. Every time you make a disciplined choice, you strengthen your willpower, making it easier to stay on the right path. Emotional control is another critical aspect of self-mastery. Emotions are powerful, but they should not dictate your actions. Anger, fear, sadness, and frustration are natural, but they must be managed with wisdom. A person who is ruled by their emotions is unpredictable, reactive, and often self-destructive. Learning to control your emotions does not mean suppressing them. It means acknowledging them without allowing them to control you. It means responding thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively. Meditation, deep breathing, and self-reflection are tools that help build emotional intelligence and resilience. Self-mastery also requires mastering your habits. Your habits define you more than your intentions do. It is not what you say you will do, but what you repeatedly do that shapes your life. Bad habits drain your energy, waste your time, and prevent you from reaching your potential. Good habits, on the other hand, create momentum, discipline, and consistency. To master yourself, you must eliminate habits that weaken you: mindless scrolling, procrastination, overeating, negative self-talk, and replace them with habits that strengthen you: exercise, reading, planning, and meaningful work. The ability to control your thoughts is also key to self-mastery. Most people allow their minds to run unchecked, filled with negativity, doubt, and fear. But your thoughts shape your reality. If you constantly think you are weak, you will act weak. If you believe you are incapable, you will not take action. Mastering your thoughts means training your mind to focus on what is productive rather than what is harmful. It means replacing self-doubt with self-belief, fear with action, and negativity with solutions. Controlling your mind is not about ignoring reality, but about focusing on what moves you forward instead of what holds you back. Another crucial part of self-mastery is mastering your time. Time is the most valuable resource you have, yet most people waste it without realizing it. They spend hours on distractions, on meaningless entertainment, on activities that add nothing to their growth. If you do not control your time, the world will control it for you. To master yourself, you must be intentional about how you spend your days. Every hour should have a purpose, whether it is work, rest, learning, or building relationships. Time, once lost, cannot be regained, so managing it effectively is a sign of true self-mastery. Mastering yourself also involves mastering your speech. Words have power. They can inspire or destroy, create or damage. People who lack self-control often speak carelessly, saying things they later regret. But those who have mastered themselves think before they speak, choosing words that align with their values and intentions. They know that every word they say either strengthens or weakens their character. Finally, self-mastery is about taking full responsibility for your life. It means refusing to blame others for your circumstances and accepting that your choices shape your reality. People who lack self-mastery make excuses. They blame their upbringing, their environment, their bad luck. But those who take control of their lives do not waste time complaining. They focus on what they can change, they take action, and they move forward. Self-mastery is not an achievement but a lifelong process. It requires daily effort, discipline, and reflection. But the rewards are immense. A person who has mastered themselves is unshakable. They do not give in to weakness, they do not allow external events to dictate their emotions, and they do not waste their potential. They live with purpose, confidence, and strength. In the end, mastering yourself is the key to mastering life. When you control yourself, you control your future. You become the kind of person who does what is necessary, who faces challenges with resilience, and who builds a life of meaning. Self-mastery is not easy, but it is worth it. Because the alternative is a life of weakness, regret, and wasted potential. The choice is yours.